and then we'll go back to our stuff. So can I get approval of the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Approval of the minutes?
Motion. Second.
Okay. So I'm gonna save everything else, and I think everyone's gotten the chair's report, so you can read it. Any questions, let me know. But we'll come back to the other reports afterwards, and if you could introduce yourself.
Rich Milieri, Head of Public Affairs for MTA Capital Construction. Just want to also introduce John McCarthy from MTA headquarters as well. He's got one of those titles that you need 2 business cards to get it along here. So, thanks for having us today. Just wanted to go through the work being done for the Long Island Railroad. It's a lot of work going on all at the same time. And when Jano Lieber, our Chief Development Officer, started, I guess last June, July, the one thing the governor had asked him to do was make these Long Island projects one of his top priorities, which he has done. And we'll go into a little bit about what he found on the biggest of the projects, Seaside Access, in a while. But there are a total of about 100 projects going on for the Long Island Railroad, and it's really a historic time for the railroad. For the first time in its 150-plus year history, it's undergoing a major expansion. And again, there are about 100 projects going on, and they include tracks, tunnels, signals, elimination of grade crossings, new bridges, and the list just goes on and on. Today I'm going to highlight the 3 largest projects, which are the double track, the Long Island expansion project from Floral Park to Hicksville, and the double track project. And I'm going to do it in the exact opposite order. We go from east to west. The double track, many of you know what that's about. There's only been one track from Ronkonkoma all the way into Farmingdale with some sidings for trains to pass. So when you have a train that might break down, there's no way around it. So every other train behind it gets stuck and causes a lot of delays. This will add a second track from Farmingdale all the way to Ronkonkoma, a total of about 18 miles. So we'll have increased service to jobs on Long Island for New York City residents, increasing the labor pool for Long Island businesses. There'll be more frequent off-peak service, improved connections to and from MacArthur Airport, and you know, just like the electrification project back in the 80s, it will be the impetus for a lot of development around the various railroad stations. Wyandanch, Deer Park, Ronkonkoma, for example, so what can happen at other stations. And also adding additional platforms at Wyandanch and Pine Lawn, and adding other platforms at other stations. The project has had support from a lot of different folks, elected officials like Steve Malone and Laura Karn, the Suffolk and Nassau County executives, the governor, of course, the Long Island Association and Kevin Law have been pushing the project for many years, and a lot of other federal, state,
Including this council.
and including the council. Yes, exactly. Moving west, we go. Yes.
On the graphic you showed, it said Phase 1, 2010 to 2014. What did it mean by Phase 1? Because there's nothing really complete that's serviceable yet, right?
I'm sorry. Those were the phases that they were doing the work in.
But I mean, Phase 1
is Phase 1 complete?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the way it was really, straddling the capital plans. So
Yeah,
phase
the
1 was
financial.
the amount of work that, you can see the $137 million that was budgeted. So it was work that goes across the entire 17.9, and I think it really is, there's miles of double track there if you add it all together.
Okay, but it's just not
That's not-
serviceable.
Yeah,
It's just not
oh
serviceable.
no, it wasn't electrified yet. It was
Okay.
it was really in Phase 1 you had clearing and building of retaining walls.
Okay.
and then phase 2 is the laying of track. And right now, if, you know, you guys probably been out there, you'll see like Wyandanch, they, I think last weekend, they put the overpass, it's pretty dramatic, we should get you some photos. It's
There every day.
yeah, so you see that overpass went up, and the tracks are down, and then the last thing they're gonna be doing over this summer is the cutover. And that's you're gonna see they're gonna be track outages, so you're not gonna have trains between Hicksville and Ronkonkoma for, you know, certain weekends during the,
Are you talking about the week or this weekend?
no, just the weekends of the summer.
We haven't had.
Yeah,
service
but
for months.
it's gonna be, the summer's gonna be a certain amount of that.
So
You're gonna
this
see.
map is a little misleading there. I mean, that's why Jerry asked that question.
Yeah,
It makes it seem like, anyway, go ahead.
I see,
Now that-
yeah.
Now that it's been explained, it's fine for us, but in the future, maybe.
Take a look at that. Again, going on to the third track, and there are about 40% of the LIRR's ridership is on that segment of track. There are just 2 tracks there, and it's the busiest section of the railroad. So again, there's really not the capacity for reverse commuting. There's problems when you have one track out of service for whatever reason, because there's so many trains going through there on the 2 tracks, you can't route around it. This is a little bit of the reason that this project is an absolute must. 127 mainline incidents in just 3 or 4 years. 4,300 plus late trains, millions of people delayed and affected by these problems. I got a little ahead of myself, but you know, there's also big safety concerns along the corridor. 24 deaths since 1980 at the grade crossings in that segment. 138 vehicle strikes. You know, this project will not only add that third track, but it's going to eliminate all 7 grade crossings in that segment. It's going to rebuild 7 bridges to raise them to prevent truck strikes, station improvements, ADA access, substations, interlocking, the list goes on and on. So it's a lot more complicated than just getting a third track. This project, excuse me, is very different in many ways. One of those ways is that the construction team and the community outreach team was out into the communities well before anything really got put on paper. So there was a lot of consultation with communities to get their ideas of what should be included in the project, what to do, what not to do, and so forth. And the idea here was that we wanted to get all this taken care of before construction started to eliminate changes along the way and prevent delays. Again, one example, New Hyde Park working with us for the 24-hour hotline up on their display sign outside Village Hall. So we will keep working with the communities. In fact, John is running out of here to go to a presentation in Floral Park on the third track. So that effort is continuing. And the villages are seeing the value too as well, besides the benefits for the ridership. New Hyde Park, Westbury, Hicksville, all of these communities are developing plans around the station for a smart development, dynamic, walkable, modern downtowns. So everybody really has gotten on board and recognized the value of the project, and it's very broad-based support. This is just a graphic of the route of the almost 10 miles. I guess I talked about the partnership with the communities and how we got out there early being different, but there were a lot of other differences as well. We are doing this as a design-build contract instead of design-bid-build. The EIS was done in about a year, which cut the time that it usually takes in about half. The procurement and award of the contract went drastically faster than usual. And again, it's a design-build contract, which should cut out the he said, she said kind of thing, where you have a designer that is saying the builder didn't build it right, the contractor saying, no, there was a flaw in the design. It's all under one roof, so that is most definitely going to be an advantage on this. And we expect to have this project completed in 2022. Some of the work going on already to prepare for the heavy construction that will be coming. And again, we are shooting to complete this project by the end of 2022. So why is 2022 such an important year? Well, that's when East Side Access will be completed as well. And Jenna Lieber very recently at a presentation last week confirmed that come hell or high water, we'll get it done in 2022. East Side Access is the MTA's largest capital project, and it's there to, as you probably know, to bring Long Island Railroad service into Grand Central Terminal. But you know, it hasn't been looked at in the right way, and now that we're kind of getting into the home stretch, you know, this is not a nice-to-have project that would save Long Island Railroad or some time going into Grand Central. It's a must-have. The conditions of the East River tunnels are less than desirable, to put it nicely. They're going to have to be taken out of service, whether one or two at a time, to repair the sandy damage. So if you take one of the four tunnels out, yeah, I mean, you're just really reducing the capacity. So to have this project completed before Amtrak starts doing those repairs is vital. Two more tunnels adds 50% more capacity. So this is you know, kind of the gateway project for the East River. So I'm going to just play a little video on East Side Access. I think most of you know most of this, but let's give it a watch.
East Side Access is the MTA's largest capital project, with work spanning 3 boroughs and extending deep below Park Avenue in Manhattan. The project will deliver for LIRR customers a brand new terminal and concourse beneath Grand Central, nearly 8 city blocks long, 8 miles of tunneling, 40 miles of new tracks, and the modernization of Herald Interlocking, the busiest intersection of passenger train lines in North America. East Side Access will deliver faster commutes, fewer delays, greater reliability, and more options for passengers. Long Island Railroad riders will now have faster, direct access to the east side of Manhattan, easing overcrowding in and around Penn Station. The project is also expanding and strengthening our regional rail network, protecting us from future transportation crises. East Side Access is the first expansion of the Long Island Railroad in more than 100 years. When the railroad was first built, 37,000 people lived on Long Island. We now have 2.8 million residents. To support that growing population, all 11 lines of the Long Island Railroad will now connect to Grand Central Terminal as well as Penn Station, saving commuters to Manhattan's east side up to 40 minutes of travel time per day, adding up to 10 days per year. With roughly half of Long Island commuters expected to go to Grand Central, there will be less crowding at Penn Station and on surrounding subway lines. East Side Access will create faster connections to JFK Airport, getting you from Grand Central to your terminal in roughly 40 minutes. And along with the construction of the third track and double track projects in Nassau and Suffolk counties, East Side Access will ensure we can meet the demands of Long Island's future population growth. Long Islanders will be able to take full advantage of the job growth around Grand Central Terminal in the wake of the East Midtown rezoning. Better reverse commuting options from New York City to Long Island will expand job opportunities for New York City residents. and help Long Island businesses attract skilled workers, strengthening the island's economic health and future prosperity. Then there's the brand new Long Island Railroad Concourse and Terminal. Built directly below Grand Central Terminal and Park Avenue, the new 1,000-foot-long terminal can accommodate 8 trains at a time, enabling service for up to 24 trains during peak hours. Passengers will have easy access to Long Island Railroad through multiple entrances along Madison Avenue from 42nd Street to 48th, and many more within Grand Central itself. There will be cellular and Wi-Fi coverage throughout the terminal, and all digital signage will provide real-time information about train departures. Overall, this new destination includes 350,000 square feet of new space, including 25 retail storefronts and space for pop-up shops to meet the needs of daily commuters. A critical piece of our transportation system is Herald Interlocking. Built over 100 years ago, it is the busiest intersection of passenger train lines in North America. With nearly 800 trains passing through each day, the potential for congestion and delays is significant, impacting daily commuters. So East Side Access is modernizing and transforming Herald to eliminate that congestion and reduce delays. Over $1 billion is being invested to make sure that you have a faster and more reliable commute, now and in the future. This ambitious and transformational project for Long Island Railroad and the region's future is slated to open at the end of 2022. East Side Access will make our regional transit system faster, more resilient, more connected, and more reliable for our future.
So I think, again, you probably knew most of that as far as the benefits go, and having been behind and keeping up with this project for many years. But there is a lot of progress made. We have 75% of the precast concrete installed. Caverns are really being transformed into the stations. And it wasn't long ago when I went down there for the first time, and it was basically a hole in the ground.
When was the last time we did that? We did
4 years, I guess. We were on
No.
the Queens
We
for
did
the
twice,
12th.
we went twice.
Yeah,
We
no,
went again about less than 2 years ago.
about maybe 2 years.
2 years, you'd be amazed at the progress, and
Really good
I'd
police
encourage
side.
you to make another visit. Be happy to set that up for you. The track installation is well underway. Half of the high-rise escalators are installed. Some of them are even workable, as I think Jano took some reporters on a tour and they actually went up and down the escalator, so it's really coming along. And again, you'd be amazed at the progress. The other big area for the project is Herald Interlocking. I know Ira lives in Sunnyside, so he sees a lot of that firsthand.
I think we all do,
Oh, yeah?
because everybody rides through that thing.
Oh,
Look out
yeah.
the window.
Well, not everybody lives there, but you do see it, yeah. if you-
Oh, you mean I'm inconvenienced by it, yeah.
Yeah.
You look out your window, from
Not
home,
what I meant, but.
from home.
So there are about 800 train movements through Herald every day, and it's owned and supposedly operated by Amtrak. The LIR and the other railroads pitch in with the maintenance of it, but it has been, I guess, neglected is the word to use. There haven't been much in the way of upgrades there since it was installed back in the days of the Penn Central Railroad. But we've done a lot of work there, and it includes all these catenary poles and signal bridges and some switching and so forth. But the problem we have there is Amtrak's failure to live up to its commitment. They have agreed to provide maybe 15 or 20 of their workers to oversee the work and provide safety guidance, and they haven't even done that and met that commitment. Because of all the delays and cancellations we've had over the years with Amtrak, it's cost the project about $340 million. So, again, the project's scheduled for completion at the end of 2022, and the budget this is coming from Jano's really deep dive he took into the project. He has decided again, come hell or high water, we're finishing that project in 2022. To do that, it's going to cost us an additional $955 million. So the budget is now $11.1 billion. But again, that's in big part due to Amtrak. There were other issues on our end as well, and we're going to address those. The recommendations that came out of Jano's really close look at this project, including shifting the focus from the heavy construction to systems, a new approach to scheduling, a SWAT team to overcome roadblocks and bureaucratic delays, no more discretionary change orders. I mean, that's one thing that's happened on all the projects and something we need to address not only here but on all the mega projects. Integrating the LIR's personnel into the project team. It was always kind of separate. Now they're part of the project team, and it helps to move things along much more quickly. But again, we also need Amtrak to honor its commitment. There's no way we're doing this without them. We really can. We're investing $1 billion to upgrade their infrastructure. It would be nice if they didn't bite the hand that fed them so much.
George, does that mean the whole LIR ESA readiness stuff that used to be across the street on 7th Avenue has all been folded into the project, or?
The office at
Yeah, the
7th
office,
Avenue?
yeah.
Yeah, the LIR personnel are part of the team.
That's all
there.
folded into the project. now.
And the Queen's
Yeah,
office
yeah,
on
there's
Northern
Queen's,
Boulevard
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So just to sum up quickly, and then we'll take your questions. One more thing, we have put together a website at the governor's direction that encompasses all the 100 projects going on for the railroad. That's a modernli.com, and it'll be launching soon, John?
Probably in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so
It's currently the third track environmental website that it'll become bigger and cover all the projects so we can track.
And we continue to appreciate your support for all these projects. And again, thank you for having us. And if there are any questions, we'd be happy to. Yes.
I understand the Sunnyside station was eliminated as part of recent changes.
No, there is some money in this current capital program for studies for the station, but it's not actually part of the site access project.
Okay, it'll be separate.
Yeah.
But it was lined out in this plan, it wasn't to move.
Yeah, because it was always shown in the past as something that was going to be part of the site access, and it
Was
would be
built-
those tracks going to Grand Central where the station will be, so.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you'll be able to go to Grand Central when the station is.
Well, no, the station, where the station was gonna be, you couldn't go from that station to Grand Central. That station. where it's
Oh, I mean, it
situated
would
is
be on
after-
those tracks that are going to
Yeah,
Grand Central.
well, it's a Penn station.
Yeah.
Oh, Penn, yes.
Yeah,
It's
You're
where
right.
it's
Where it was.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's past.
No, it's
past
it's
the
fine, but
cutoff
it is,
for the
it is,
Grand
Oh, it's past the cutoff.
yeah, it's past the cutoff.
All right, I didn't know
Because
that.
it's right, because it's in the right place, that's the place in Long City,
Okay.
it has to be where it has to be, but you're right, Jerry, it has to be, it's not in an approved capital plan,
All right.
but the plan, the thinking is it should be in the next plan.
I've got questions, overall
Because
question
it
on
won't be built till 2020.
all these projects. What obviously riders are concerned with are schedules. Right, what kind of trains are going to change, what kind of trains are running each way. At what point the projects will get ideas to what kind of schedule will be. Second track is supposed to be done in the summer, right? So we're in May. I mean, at what point will we get an idea as to what schedule changes or what added trains are?
Yeah,
And also then for, obviously for
That's something I know the railroad is working on. I'm not familiar with it, John. I don't
So
know if you.
with double track, you'll see a change in the schedule right now is bringing it in, and they, the schedule is moving along, so that we bring it in by the end of the summer. So either you're getting an early September timetable or a little later, but that will reflect double track. Where you're gonna see the benefits will be during the reverse peak in the morning between Hicksville and Ronkonkoma. You're gonna have trains not going in both directions. We haven't fixed the problem past Hicksville, and we haven't fixed the problem into the city, so you're not gonna get that new service until later, but you'll get, some new service. But then you're gonna have outages with third track, right, to construct it. So there's certain limitations on, taking full advantage of having two tracks. You'll certainly get advantages from, when it comes to delays and things like that. But as far as new service schedule, there'll be some, and you'll see that at the earliest, the September timetable, maybe a little later. I don't, Charlie or someone like that, they're probably thinking about that now, McKiernan and service planning. But when you have third track, you're able to without east side access, bring in a certain amount of trains. Again, it's in the off-peak hours where you can run a lot more. Once you have east side access, you can, I think it's a 50% increase. You can really, but then it becomes an issue of how many cars do you have.
I think that,
Equipment
I guess
issue.
my point is, this needs to be explained to us ahead of time, because people, listen, I take that.
Yeah.
People not inconvenienced a lot with the anticipation that, okay, my commute's gonna be better when this is done.
Yes.
If it has to be like 2022 to really have a big difference, I think you better start laying work early, because you have a lot of people who are gonna say, well, I have no weekend service.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna have to, they don't even realize, because no one's had the mindset with the one track of having to cross over. You're gonna have an overpass to come up. I mean, it's a whole different way of living.
No,
They're not used to.
there's going to be very aggressive outreach Ryan and Hector and the team are going to do with the service outages. But look, they're in the off-peak hours, there's overnights.
Again,
service
at the
reduction.
end, there has to be
At the end.
something for the rider, and I understand
Yeah,
that
yeah.
because of the projects, it may not be so apparent. If there are, you should focus on that.
But what
And get to
we're
that.
going to do, and what Rich alluded to, and Jano's made a big deal about it, and it's probably one of the most important things with this east side access preparedness, is getting the railroad embedded in this project. And they I think people have figured they'll be gone by this, they will be gone. They are being brought into this project aggressively, sit down, and it's not only to figure out Grand Central, because they gotta run the place. They're gonna finally own, like, you go out the door, we don't own this. Anything could happen tomorrow, and they say, we're shutting this, and that down. You're gonna have your own terminal, so they really have to figure out the schedule, how they're gonna run it. And with the schedule, we're gonna have to do a lot going out to the public, because you're gonna have more trains, but are they going to be Grand Central train followed immediately by Penn? Do you spread them out? What works best on which branch? An issue that Ira knows about is do you have a scoot to Brooklyn, which is, something I know that's come up in the board.
Yeah,
meetings. No, I know, so this is the
It
conversation.
wasn't brought up today, but I was gonna.
Yeah, but that's something that, Phil's been made aware of, that the railroad, Jano's aware of, and that's starting very soon, because for the reasons you said, we gotta get people involved, and also it helps us, it makes people excited. So,
Yeah, I know it's 4 years off for completion, but when will we see the master plan of how this is all gonna go down? Because obviously we're gonna have less trains into Penn, so it's how many trains ballpark are we gonna have going into Grand Central? How many less trains are we gonna have coming into Penn? Are we going to the shuttle? Like, apparently we're going to the shuttle because you're building a new platform in Jamaica to Brooklyn. So what does this do to Hunters Point, if anything? When will we see the master plan of what you're gonna do? And obviously, you have rolling stock constraints. So it would just be nice to know ballpark what the master plan is, even though it's 4 years off.
A lot of questions, a lot of good questions. I know Hunters Point will continue to provide service in Long Island City. As far as numbers of trains, you say that there'll be fewer trains in Penn Station. There will, but keep in mind, one of the advantages of East Side access is to allow Penn Station access for the Metro North Railroad.
That's a sore point.
So some of those trains will be diverted into Penn Station. As far as actual schedules, number of trains, and I don't think that's been determined yet, Ryan? Right.
Not to my knowledge.
Well, they've done old studies during the environmental stages leading up to East Side
Yeah.
Access, anticipating, and then they've come up with scheduling, but those things are old before they're even, you know, they make its way up through the
But, I mean,
ranks.
just, I know you can't commit firmly, but are we talking splitting what we have now, 50-50 between the two stations? Will there be more rolling stock, so we might have 20% more service because of the, you know?
There's going to be more service because there will be more rolling stock.
Okay.
And that's why they're ordering the M9s. And the M7s, their record is, I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah, but your M3s are beyond their useful life, so I mean,
M3s, but we'll
you're on
see.
the last legs.
They are, yeah, but it's, but you will have more trains as part of East Side Access. The other thing is, one of the things we're gonna look at is, some of this has to be driven by demand. And one of the things we're talking with railroad about, and something you guys are gonna have an opinion on, is we have more flexibility with when you have more flexibility with scheduling, do you use that flexibility? Or do you ignore it? We're doing all these projects so that we're flexible and we can meet a demand and address demand, as opposed to having something stagnant that lasts 30, 40 years, because that's the way we've always done it, or we don't have any other options. So we're gonna have the options to move things around. So there's gonna be there's gonna be a certain amount that's gonna be driven by the marketplace. That if everybody, you know, on December 31st, 2022, well, that's, I'm gonna say December, because we said the end of 2022. If you have, everybody wants to go to Grand Central for a year, well, you're gonna make an adjustment, but you'll have the flexibility to make that adjustment. But from day one, it's supposed to be more service when you combine the two.
Okay.
And we don't want people who are going to Penn Station to have a depreciation of service. That's not, you know.
All right, well, that was one of the
Yeah,
concerns.
and you'll have, and the way to avoid that is if you have someone coming in from a Huntington train that's due to Penn Station, and you know, will you have a cross-platform change? Because you know you'll have every X number of minutes into Grand Central and Penn Station, no matter what happens at Jamaica. So there's going to be a certain amount the key is there's more options, more
This is
flexibility.
Mike, can you hear me?
Hold on, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead now.
Well, you guys should have known that this was coming, but you guys, the railroad is doing this to the detriment of the tens of thousands of people who now have a cross-platform transfer or one-seat ride into the Atlantic Terminal, and now you're going to inconvenience those tens of thousands of people by causing them to have to go up and over just because you want to have, you know, provide better access to those folks that want to go north up to Grand Central. I mean, there are tens of thousands of riders who use Atlantic Terminal to go downtown and work in Brooklyn, but you're going to inconvenience all of those riders, and you're not considering them at all.
So this has come up at the MTA board, and my understanding is that both Jano Lieber, who's building this, and Phil Eng at the railroad, they you know are very aware of the issue. It's something that that people want to discuss. So